Yeah, I think the microphone is definitely hot. You can probably hear me moving around there, citizen. I'll be getting the guys on the Skype call in just a minute. They said they just needed a couple more minutes to get things straight on their end. Meanwhile, I'm transcribing some of your questions. Just another couple of minutes, guys. They're still finishing some stuff up over there in Amiga Ireland, but in the meantime, keep your questions coming. I am transcribing them right now. Hello, hello. 1 second. Let's see if we can hear. I can't hear any audio from you. Do you get any audio from me? Let's switch this over. 1 second. We're working on the audio, guys. Still can't hear you, Trevor. There, okay. Now, studio audience out there, can you hear me? Because I can't hear Trevor yet. Okay, you can hear us. Great. We can't hear you though. Okay, can you guys say something? Let me see if I can hear you now. Nothing, no audio.
Can you hear me now? Hello, hello.
All right, let's check.
Can you hear me now, Doug? Hello, hello. We've got input level there.
Yeah. Have you got it there?
Any good?
So
Can you hear us?
the studio audience can hear Trevor. Well, that's just inconvenient because I can't hear Trevor. Let me see what I can do to fix that.
Any good, Doug? Can you hear me now?
Computer working. Because I can't hear Trevor. Let me see what I can do to fix that.
Any good, Doug? Can you hear me now?
Getting levels.
No, I can't. That's really strange. Because I can't hear Trevor. Let me see what I can do to fix that.
Any good, Doug? Can you hear me now?
Getting levels.
Because I can't hear Trevor. Let me see what I can do to fix that.
Hang on, is that just going up and down? Is that just going
Any
up and
good,
down?
Doug? Can you hear me now?
Getting levels.
Because I can't hear Trevor. Let me see what I can do to fix that.
Hang on, is that just going up and down? Is that just going
Any
up and
good,
down?
Doug? Can you hear me now?
Getting levels.
There, I think.
Is that just going up and down? Is that just going up and down? Getting levels.
There. Now I can. There, I think.
Is that just going up and down? Is that just going up and down?
Okay,
There. Now I can. There, I think.
Is that just going up and down? Is that just going up and down?
There. Now I can.
So the sound tone.
We can't hear you now.
Yeah. What did you just change?
I changed the mic input.
Oh,
I was like, yeah.
suddenly that sounds much better.
So, yeah, I just changed their input. It's
Okay.
still going to the HDMI. So, sorry, yeah, here. I disabled the automatic settings is what I changed, yeah. But I could hear him there a second ago.
Right, Doug, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
Okay. Can you guys in Amiga Ireland hear me now?
We can hear you.
Fantastic. And I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Over to you. Okay, Doug, do you want to start?
I'm going to turn him on.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for your patience, everyone, in us getting this little audio glitch figured out. Sometimes these things happen.
Okay, we're ready to go.
So I'd like to welcome you to the live stream of Trevor Dickinson from A-Eon in Amiga Ireland. We'll have Trevor introduce himself in a second.
Okay, well, my name is Trevor Dickinson. I'm the founder of A-Eon Technology. I'm at Amiga Ireland 2020. This is the third Amiga Ireland show I've attended and sponsored. And this show just keep getting bigger and better every year. So it does show resurgence of interest in the Amiga computer and in all types of Amiga computers. So it's great to be back in Ireland.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Trevor. So we have a lot of questions here today, and most of them seem to be centering around the A1222 motherboard.
Okay.
Can you give us a little bit of history on the motherboard and how it came about and some of the stories behind it?
Yeah, it's quite a long story, but I'll try and keep it short. Obviously, our first computer was the Amiga 1X1000, and we have one running today at the show. It's looking really good. It's hard to believe that it's 8 years old. I guess in Amiga terms, 8 years old is not old when we talk about 35-year anniversary. But yes, it's 8 years old. And then we also have at the show today someone with an Amiga 1 X5000. We brought the X5000 to replace the Amiga 1 X1000, mainly because of the availability of CPUs and the Apple closing down the PA Semi CPU product line for the X1000. And not because it was the X1000, just because they shut down the line when they acquired PA Semi. So the X5000 was a direct replacement, and it came in at a much lower price. But I still wanted to create an Amiga computer, a next generation Amiga computer, which is lower cost, with mid-level performance but lower cost, so that would encourage, help, or make it possible for Amigans to buy a next generation Amiga running Amiga OS4. So the plans for the A1222 started probably in 2012, believe it or not. And we came up with a design, or our design hardware engineers came up with a design for a motherboard called Cyrus. And Cyrus was going to be a motherboard that could support 3 different CPUs, a P3401, a P5040, P5020 dual core, and a P5040 quad core. For various reasons, compatibility issues, the idea of having the lower cost P3041 and the P5020 and P5040 didn't really work out, in that the cost of the board with the 3401 was almost the same price as the board with a P5020. So the idea of getting a lower cost board just wasn't realized. So we ditched the idea for the dual core P3401 series. But I'm still keen to get a low-cost machine in there to promote next generation Amiga OS4 hardware and software. So in 2013, we drew up plans with the hardware designers for a new board altogether, a cut-down board, a mini ITX, move a lot of the bells and whistles, make it as low cost as possible to manufacture, and therefore we could pass on a lower price to our customers. And actually, the board was delivered to the software developers, the prototypes, at the same time as the note to Trevor: don't get software developers to write software for 2 boards at the same time. So we delivered the Cyrus P5020 and the A1222, which was a Tabor motherboard, to entertainment at the same time. And obviously one took priority of the other, and so no work happened at all. We fortunately had a small team of core Linux supporters, beta testers, and they quickly ported Linux to the Tabor motherboard. So we were running Linux for probably a year or so before we even had any OS4. Kind of reminds you of times gone by with iTech. But so while Hyperion concentrated efforts on the Cyrus P5020. Then of course we had various financial issues with Hyperion, which stopped them developing entirely for a short while, where they went through I'll say a bankruptcy period, but in the end it turned out not to be a bankruptcy. So that slowed things down even further. And at the same time, we were having issues with porting OS4 to the Cyrus. So for about a year or two, it was really in quagmire, and it was really frustrating for the developers, for the beta testers, and so it's only when the X5000 finally came out that effort was turned to actually getting the P5020 out, the Tabor motherboard out, which powers the A1222. And we did. We put out a beta test run of 50 boards. Two of them went to Adrian, I think it's Globage. Adrian, anyways, he works with the Debian SPE team, building Debian kernels for the SPE, the CPU, the CPU that powers the P1042. Yeah, 1022, sorry. That's why it's called Amiga 1222, the 1022 CPU. So that's been running 24/7 for about 2 or 3 years, powering, building Debian SPE code. So, of course, that was a long time ago. And so, over the intervening years, several minor components on the board have become obsolete. Yeah. So we exactly. But in the mainstream computing world, that's what happens. In our 35-year Amiga world, we're used to things not changing much, but mainstream computing changes fast. So we decided to with the help of our hardware designers, we're ramping the design to include the small changes, and then we're bringing out the early adopter system, A1222 Plus, which includes a few new features, but mainly it's replacing those components that are obsolete. So that's the very 4.5 year history of where it came from and where we got to.
Perfect. That sounds really good, and that actually answers quite a few people's questions, like about how why the X1000 and X5000 came out first. We've got a question about. Hold on one second. Give me just a second here. Okay, we've got a question here from Peter Erickson. This is, what can we expect from the Tabor package-wise? Will the unboxing experience be anything Commodore-esque? So I think what he's saying is, will it be in some great packaging? Will it include some fun things to make it enjoyable to open up?
Well, first of all, if you or buy a AAA bundle, you've already got a nice little package of goodies, software and hardware, and we're still there. And so that's quite a little package to go with the A1222. We're still yet to decide exactly how whether we supply just motherboards or full systems. I prefer full systems because that way you turn them on, it should work. You're not relying on someone to build up a system themselves. But Amigans are very, very adaptive, very, very clever, and initially we sold X1000s and X5000s as complete systems, but eventually we started selling motherboards because people like to personalize their own systems. So we're in two minds whether with the first boards, first early adopter systems, whether they're full systems or whether it's just boards. What I think will offer the option of built systems, as we did with the X5000, and customizable built systems. You can change the components you want. But obviously, we want to get them in the hands and working. And as for packaging, we're looking more packaging our hardware that we sell.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the pre-bundle ordering from Amiga Kit and what's included with that, and why we should do that?
Well, the idea of the pre-bundle, I'll tell you the reason for it, and it's a good reason. In my experience, and you see it time by time again in the Amiga world, and in the general world as well, but particularly in the Amiga world, people have put money down, and hardware doesn't get delivered. Or it gets delivered, a year, 18 months, 2 years after someone spent their money. And we don't want that. We want to be able to give someone something up front. So if you pay money, you get something. So the idea of the AAA bundle was, okay, we know there's going to be a lot of demand for this board. I get asked questions every day, when can I get one? So we thought, well, the AAA bundle, if you buy the bundle, you'll get the bundle. And that will be delivered, within 2 or 3 weeks. And you will have something in your hand. That will give you the right to acquire one of the early adopter systems at a special low introductory price. I sound like a salesman there, but I will tell you that when we produce these boards and systems commercially after this, they'll be at a high price. So this introductory price is just because maybe it changes the board and we want to give it to people's hands. The price will go up. So if you buy a bundle, and you're one of the first 100, you will definitely get a board. If you want to wait and hope that the 100 don't sell, and as far as I'm aware, we're up to we're getting close to the 100. If the 100 don't sell, then we'll offer a deposit, 20% deposit, to put your name down for a board. But it's only up to 100 still, so only producing 100 boards for this early adopter at a special price.
Mm-hmm. Will the price of the motherboard, the A1222 motherboard, go up substantially once these pre-orders are done with?
It will go up. I'm still discussing with Matthew Lehman, my business partner, what the price will be. But we wanted just to get them out, get them in people's hands. I'd imagine, I have no idea what the price is up to. Selling at the price we're selling at does not make any money. And if we want to produce other boards, we need to make some money. So the price needs to go up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Conrad Finich asks, with a special low introductory price, is the RAM included, or are things like RAM sold separately?
Actually, RAM prices are so low these days. Modern RAM. Personally, I've never thought about that point. Usually we supply RAM with the boards because we want to make sure it's compatible. But that's one thing I will check with Amiga Kit to make sure that we make that clear.
Okay. Have you gotten in touch with any other vendors who maybe are interested in bundling the board with a new case, something neat and small and compact, like the Checkmate case from Stephen Jones?
It's neat. I wouldn't say it's small and compact. In fact, the table board gets lost in it. It's a very nice case. I ordered one myself. I did a Kickstarter myself for that one, and I got it for my table. I haven't been able to install it yet because as it's delivered, it doesn't have the PCIe extended ribbon cable, which I need. So I placed an order for that. It still hasn't arrived. I would like to see a bespoke Amiga 1 case for the A1222 Plus, and which is small, neat, compact, which I don't think the Checkmate case is compact. Is everything else compact?
Gotcha.
And will we bundle with others? Once we bring out commercial systems, when we bring out one question, one more. When we bring out the commercial systems, we will offer retailers the option of building their own system subject to quality approvals, and then they can produce their own bottles.
Gotcha. So we've got a question here from Keith McGarros. Did the delays of getting the Tabor board out slow down or hinder the development of patches or updates from Amiga OS 4.1 in any way, or were they completely separate?
I personally would say they're completely separate.
Okay, that's fair enough.
This
Now, there's included with this bundle that's coming from Amiga Kit. There's some add-ons for the actual Amiga OS 4.1 software. Is that correct? What do those add-ons do?
With the bundle, if you place your order for the A1222 Plus, you get the enhanced software pack version 2.0, which hasn't been released yet, and that has a lot of new features. Some really cool new features. I'm not supposed to talk about it, but I'm going to. Matthew can't hear. It introduces all
we won't
the
tell
features
Matthew
that we've been working on for the one of the things I'm pretty pleased about is the video drivers, the 3D drivers, the sound drivers, the Ethernet. Oh, Ethernet might be included, might not be in the first version. But there's a lot of new features that go into that bundle. The enhancer pack has been updated 6 times. Version 1.5 was the last one. So version 2 is another major upgrade, and it's a paid upgrade for users. That will be part of the bundle supplied with the new one, A1222 Plus. The other thing is that you'd be pleased to know that the A1222 Plus now plays more or less 4K video smoothly in multitasking, and that's a first for any next generation.
Great. Okay, we've got a couple people on the stream saying that your audio is not completely clear. Do the guys there at Amiga Ireland have maybe a headset you can use so we don't get so much back talk and feedback?
We can try. Anyone around that can give me a headset? Yeah. We'll see if we can find a. Yeah, it keeps cutting out for me. Well, it has just cut out. In fact, it's just gone off. Hello. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, let's.
Can you hear me still?
We'll have him back in just a second, everybody.
It's dead.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
You can still hear me? Okay. If you can hear me now, I'm not using the mic, but that means the people in the room can't hear me. So I need a mic.
Yeah,
somebody.
I can still hear you right now.
Yeah.
You know what? Oh, well, we don't want that.
Yeah.
We want everyone in the room to hear you too. We'll just give it a second.
Right, how's that? Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, and that actually sounds better.
Okay, maybe the other mic.
Let's ask the chat. Okay, everybody, can you guys hear Trevor better now with this mic?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, next question.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's get back to some questions here. All right. All right. We do have some people asking some questions about compatibility with the original classic line of Amigas, so they can still play their old games and their old utilities. Do those work pretty well
Okay.
on the Tabor board, and how fast do they run? Like, how fast of an Amiga does it emulate?
Well, if you think about the Amiga 1 line, the X5000, X1000, they are already, and the A1222 does the same as what the X5000 or X1000 can do. It basically runs Amiga OS 4, so all the capabilities that the X5000 and X1000 have, the A1222 Plus has the same. So it runs Amiga OS 4. All the graphics drivers, all the 3D drivers, which we write for those other two systems, work exactly the same on the table. So how is it run? There are lots of videos online by some of our beta testers. We show various classic games running well, running fast. We have some fantastic developers like Daniel Musner, who has done some great work with the A1222. He has Diablo running on the A1222, running really fast. We had that at Gamescom, and I think it loaded in 4 seconds. I think the fast vampire took about 20, but we won't talk about that. And we games like Wings, which Daniel's modified, Tower 57, which Daniel's modified, they all run really well on the table. And then, because they're more modern games, but the older stuff runs under the running UAE emulation, which is an Amiga OS 4 standard package supplied with Amiga OS 4.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, that's a good answer there. How does it perform on the internet? I know that the new Tabor board has a 1 gigabyte Ethernet cable or Ethernet connection, but how does it perform online with the browsers and Amiga OS 4.1?
I've used it as a trial. I've done, I do a thing called Trevor's Amiga blog, and I used Odyssey to write Trevor's Amiga blog using my Tabor, my A1222, my beta version. So it's good enough. One thing that I'd like to see with the Odyssey browser in particular is, if possible, is to use some of the new features of the graphics card. So we can use the graphics card GPU to accelerate all of the online video. There is a new version of Emotion coming out, which you can use to play content both online and offline, which uses obviously the GPU, the new GPU drivers. So I think it's work in progress still. I think the traditional Amiga or classic Amiga browsers like iBrowse, AWeb, they have limitations with modern websites, and that still exists, unfortunately.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, as long as people are able to maybe get on and maybe stream a little YouTube or something like that, I think they'd be pretty happy. Hopefully it'll get better with time.
We Amigans are nothing but if not patient.
That's very true. That's very true. Okay, we do have a question from, oh my goodness, Kajaitel Halfstrand about fixing bugs with the payment system on Amy Store. He's apparently having some issues. Is your website getting resolved? Issues with the website?
Amy Store's not a website. It's a portal for software payment and download. What I suggest, and I will actually mention it to him if he's not listening,
well,
but any bug issue should go directly to Matthew Lehman and register the information, because controls the update, maintenance, and development of the AmiStore website or web portal.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. Okay, let's get to another question here. So Sean Fitzgerald is looking for a list of specs of the new motherboard and what he is exactly going to need to build it.
Well, I guess he means install it rather than build it. The specifications are on the A1222 Plus page. The specs are very similar to the original specs released in various news releases over the last 3 or 4 years. So tell them to check that first, and if the information is not there, then to drop us an email. As for building it, it will be supplied with, if we supply just the boards, it will be supplied with a full how-to manual. We do have what we call a technical reference manual as well, that were produced by the hardware developers, which is quite a complete manual. Far more information than most people need, to be honest, but it's there as well.
Okay, I have a question about some of the other products that A-Eon offers, like personal paint and image effects. I wanted to actually buy image effects the other day for my 68K Amiga, but I couldn't find any links for it. Are you still supporting that software and maybe offering new updates for it soon?
Yeah, the personal paint, when we acquired that from Michael Battle and Client, we did a major overhaul for OS3 Classic and OS4. So, and there's been a few bug fixes over the last year or so. Image effects, I think there you are. Image effects, we acquired that quite some time ago. That is, we are bundling the DVD, CD, DVD, with the AAA bundle. Yes, in fact, at recent Amiga 34 in Germany, they were for sale on the Amiga Kit stand. So yes, you can now buy the previous image FX. I think was it 4.1? 4.3. Thank you. It is the complete package anyway. The complete package that was produced. We also now have plans to produce an updated version to modernize the interface and to give it more a modern OS4 feel. And at the same time, we'll upgrade the OS3 version to add any improvements that we introduced with the OS4 version.
Mm-hmm. That'll be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that new version. We've got a question here from Conrad Finetch. Which is the best in-production video card to purchase with the A1222?
That's a good question. I've tested about 15 cards in the A1222 from the R6, the HD 6000, 7000, R5, R7s, RXs, 460s, 550s, 560s. Really, it depends on what you're looking for. Amiga OS does not, hit graphics cards heavily. Okay, maybe some of the 3D stuff, some of the video driver stuff, it's going to change that in the future. But to be honest, I like a small card if possible, and it depends on the package you can build it in. If you've got a big tower case, you can put a big beefy card in there. Most powerful card you can get. Do you need it? It's another matter. So there is a list of graphics cards that are supported. If you go on to the HDR Lab website, maintained by Hans de Ruyter, who's our graphics card developer, graphics card driver developer, and Warp 3D Nova software developer. And he keeps an up-to-date list of all cards that have been tested and work on our various hardware, on our various machines. So that would be my first point of call. But to be honest, you want one of the modern cards, an RX 550, 560, 570. Not the 580 just yet. It works, but there's some graphics glitches that Hans Deloitte is still trying to figure out. But the RX series are available and easy to find. But some people like the R7 series. Some people like the older HD 7000 series. The 7750s. But if you want to use the newer drivers, you need to use one of the more modern cards.
The Tabor does have onboard video, but that's just going to be baseline stuff, right?
It's baseline stuff. The beta test boards that are already out, we have a driver that works for that, but it is baseline stuff. It's 1280 by 1076, whatever the resolution is, and it's not 3D, but it works. But we're not really supporting that because it was there just as an add-on. We might even remove it in future versions.
Sure. Sure. And the onboard audio, I understand with some of the early boards, there was fun getting the audio drivers working. Are they working just fine now?
Well, the onboard audio is part of the system. We have a couple of developers working on that, and since we've refocused on that, because obviously the early adopter systems are coming out, we're making good progress there. So I'm a lot happier with that than I was maybe 6 months ago. So that's good.
Mm-hmm. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Okay, let's find some more questions here. Well, I'm looking up some questions. If you've got anything you want to talk about, Trevor, take it away while I look up some more questions.
What I thought I'd do is throw it over to the people in the room here and see if they've got any questions. Because then what I do, I can relay the questions to you so your audience can hear them. So don't be shy, guys. Any questions for the podcast audience? For the audience?
I love it. That's perfect.
Yeah.
For someone who needs to what is the
Okay. Yeah. The question for someone new to OS4, what's the difference between and relationship, I suppose, between Hyperion, A-Eon, and the other entities that are around at the moment? I suppose it's fair to say that it's a good question. Hyperion are the owners and developers of Amiga OS4, right? And we sub-license Amiga OS4 from Hyperion for our hardware. But we also develop some major components in Amiga OS4, like all the graphics drivers, all the 3D stuff, all the advanced video stuff. We do that because we want to provide our customers with a good experience, because we need to. We're providing bespoke hardware, which is expensive because it's in small volumes. So we want to make sure our customers get the best possible product. So that's why we got involved on that side. Other aspects of Amiga OS4, I personally own the exec SG, which it was personally owned by the three brothers and the developers, and sub-licensed to Hyperion. I now personally own it, and I sub-license it to Hyperion. So nothing's changed really, except the ownership. Hyperion are in the same situation. They are licensees of my product. So does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. I've got a question from a cheeky person in the audience, and he said, I think his name's David Pleasance, and he said, ask him when he wants to be on his show.
David Pleasance. I would interview David Pleasance in a heartbeat. That would be just wonderful.
Yeah. You have to send the check first, okay? Right. Any more
Bill
questions?
Toner
from the
has a
room?
question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please.
One more question from the room, please.
I promise I'll buy his book.
Oh, one question, please. Don't be shy. I'll ask a question then. Every year we've seen the numbers grow at Amiga Ireland, and it's become a vibrant show. And we've seen other shows around the world, really growing. I wish we could increase the numbers and attendance at the excellent AmiWest show. So if you are going to be in the Sacramento region in October or plan to visit the States, try and take in the AmiWest show, because it's been probably the longest running show in the world. It's definitely the longest running show in North America. And I think next year is its 22nd year. So a little plug for AmiWest if you plan. It's a great show. And it's great to see the Amiga Ireland actually becoming the preeminent show in this part of the world as well. Amiga Germany accepted, which is a really massive show. But was there a question there? Have I scared somebody off? No. Okay, back to your questions.
Okay, I've got a question here from Bill Toner. Will the A1222 or other boards get power management features as part of exec SG to turn off features not currently in use, slow down the CPU or GPU, clock speed if idle, and things like that?
Well, that's a really good question. There's two things. The new graphics boards, the Polaris boards, Hans Reuters added power management to that. So that's good. We also have monitor of the, I'm trying to think of the terminology now, we do now monitor all of the health factors of the board, and we can monitor that and actually obtain that information. So I guess the next step would be not just to obtain the information, but do something about it. So good question.
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
What we are going to do for new
I've got another question, unless you have one from the audience there.
We have one more question from the audience.
What we are going to do to bring more developers to Amiga OS?
Yeah. The question was, what are we going to do to bring more developers to Amiga OS? Which again is another good question. From an A-Eon perspective, we probably have 20 developers on various projects, maybe more now, and we have a similar number, or actually more, beta testers, beta testing our software. So everyone looks at A-Eon as a hardware company. We're very much a hardware and software company. We have a lot of software projects on the go. How do we get them? We get people involved by two means. One, engaging with them. Two, in many instances, pay them a little bit of money. That always helps. I always say developers need to eat too. But I think it's important to get not just enthusiastic developers, but quality developers involved. Yeah, money certainly helps. So it's one thing that we're working on, have worked on over the last 4 or 5 years, in our software side, and that's, again, I put a lot of responsibility on Matthew Lehman's shoulders. But that's something that he controls and deals with. So he's done a good job in building the development team. On the exec SG side, we've created a pretty good exec SG team, and which is now starting to fire on all cylinders. And I think one of our next presentations at this show is Stephen Sawley talking about the path for exec SG and future development. So I will ask Bill Toner's question of Steve at that time.
So there's lots of flavours of NG Amiga.
Got a question here from Peter Erickson. The Tabor, whoops.
Yeah, one more question. Sorry.
So you've got a port of MARC OS onto the X5 now. What's the intent of that? Do you see harmonisation?
Yeah.
I think we've got lots of I think we've got lots of talented developers in the Amiga field. And to me, the Amiga field is classic, next gen, emulation, you name it. They're all Amigans at heart. So if you can utilize their skills to benefit everyone, why shouldn't you? That's why we've been working more closely with the MARC OS people. I mean, the MARC OS people, developer, Mark Olsen, did the X5000 Ethernet driver. He did the U-boot. He's done a sound driver for us. So, I mean, obviously it's paid work, but we're working with the MARC OS developers. I've been sponsoring a couple of AROS developers, one to help them feed themselves, because there's not a lot of money in writing AROS software, but two, they're very talented people, and at one stage I'd like to think they'll do some work which will benefit OS4. So I'm all for working with any talent that wants to contribute to keeping this Amiga alive in whatever form it is. Whether it's next gen, whether it's blue, whether it's red, whether it's black, purple, pink or green, I don't care. It's Amiga to me.
Excellent. Okay, I've got a question here from Peter Erickson. The Tabor lacks Amiga floppy, joystick, and keyboard ports. The Catweasel PCI card has them both, but it's out of production. Would it make sense to buy the rights and restart production of the Catweasel?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you need the old? I mean, no one uses floppy disks anymore, even on classics. I don't think I've seen many floppy disks around. Everyone's using CF cards, they're using USBs, micro USBs. There's a few classic machines here which are a bit like Frankenstein's monster, because we all did the same thing with our hardware. We upgraded it, we changed it. Very few machines have hard disks in them now. They've got CF cards or micro USBs. To be honest, I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I want to hear the slow spin up of a SCSI disk drive. Sounds like a jumbo jet taking off. But I would say most classic Amigans who are maintaining their classic hardware, they do not use the old mesh. So, I think the good thing about A-Eon and actually also Amiga, who's our partner, is that they're always looking for ways of expanding hardware and software support for both classic and next gen. And so I reckon if they thought that was a good commercial move, they would do that, because they're doing lots of new boards and components for classic hardware. And we did actually, you might not remember this, but we did the Catweasel Mark II anniversary edition for the X1000, which didn't sell very many, but we did it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. We are all using more modern technology. Why spend the money on bringing the old stuff back? Instead, let's move forward. Okay.
I think we've got time for probably 2 more questions, because my slot's over. So if you've got 2 more questions, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Here's a great one from Mario Cratafila. As an Amiga 500 or as an Amiga 1 500 owner, should I upgrade to the A1222 Plus, or should I save some more money for the X5000? Which direction should he go?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one. Buy them both. But you know, it comes down to, I mean, the Amiga 500 from A-Cube is a nice little machine, and we've continued to support the graphics cards and the abilities of the graphics cards to support the 500. So graphics cards aren't cheap. Some of the new graphics cards are quite expensive. So really, it's up to him if he wants to just upgrade, you know, buy a table. That's good. If he wants the most powerful next generation Amiga out there, then he wants to buy an X5000, or he should buy an X5000.
Excellent. Yeah, that makes sense. Buy both. Why not? Asaf Ayube has a question. He says, one way to kickstart development would be a yearly developer competition or awards for developing something. Do you have anything like that in mind, or would something like that work?
There's been a number of initiatives over the last, well, since 2005, I think. I raised something similar. Let's have a donation scheme, a bonus scheme, you know, an award scheme for developers. And the trouble is, you can't get consensus from people about what should be developed, what's important, what's not important. And so that's probably why back in 2005, 2006, I started my own development donation scheme and started buying used Micro Amiga 1s, Amiga 1s, XEs, and Pegasus 2s, and donating them to developers to develop the software. So people develop for Amiga because they obviously, one, have the skill set, but two, they enjoy working on the machine of their hobby. It's their hobby machine. They enjoy it. They don't do it because it's the latest, greatest hardware out there, because it certainly isn't. But it's an Amiga. You know, it's designed to be an Amiga. It's an Amiga. It runs Amiga OS. It feels like an Amiga. It's like the old, you know, adage. You know, it looks like a camel, smells like a camel, and walks like a camel. It's a camel. Well, yeah, it's an Amiga. So, would creating another type of program to give prizes for developing software? Will I end up with another game, platform game? That's what usually happens. Platform games, which are variations of other platform games. I'd rather pay developers to create software utilities, applications that people want to use. Then again, I'm not a game player, so I'm sorry. Someone said browser, and I can only agree with him. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think we're just about out of time. I'd like to thank you very much, Trevor, for taking the time out of your day for this and answering everybody's questions. We're all really excited about it. If you see my pal Pete Morgan there at the show, give him a big hug. Tell him to buy the A1222 because it's a cute little guy. He'll know what I'm talking about.
And I'd like to thank, before you go, I'd like to thank Amiga Ireland for allowing us to do a live podcast review online. Is it our first? I don't know, first at an Amiga show. It's pretty good anyway, pretty cool. So, and thanks for inviting me to talk to your listeners.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You bet. Give all my Amiga friends out there my love. I know quite a few people out there. Tell them Doug from 10 Mark says hello, and have a great day.
Thanks very much, Doug. Bye-bye.
You bet. We're signing out.
Signing out too.
All right, let's just change some logos here. We'll get Trevor off of there. There he goes. All right, so you guys can probably still hear me on the channel. I appreciate all of you coming by and visiting with us today. That was a lot of fun. If you have any more questions, I'd be happy to forward them on to Trevor. If you have anything specific, just get in touch with me, and I'll see if he can answer any of your questions. Wonderful. Okay, ending the stream. This is Doug from 10 Minute Amiga Retrocast, signing out.